And joining us with more on this, former Senator Heidi Heitkamp from North Dakota. She is the director of the University of Chicago Institute of Politics, and former Congressman Carlos Curbelo from Florida. He is also an MSNBC political analyst. So, Senator, from what you've been seeing so far, who would you say is the most vulnerable in their path to confirmation?
Well, I would have said Hegseth, but I think he walked away with kind of a winning day. Whether you agree with whether he's qualified or not, I think he's going to get confirmed. And so I think that the real trick here is that the Democrats have been focusing on character, on kind of the past. That might be the wrong strategy. The right strategy, it seems to me, is to talk about what they intend to do, how they intend to carry out the campaign promises that were made by the administration, and what that looks like going forward. And so I'm anxious to see kind of transcripts on getting to those points, because typically what the media covers is all of the kind of rancor on a lot of these issues, and not necessarily the substance of what these agencies do.
So how do you think, Senator, that change of tactic could actually be implemented?
Well, I did read a report that Chuck had said, Schumer had said, get them on the record on what they intend to do. A great example would be Doug Burgum's been tasked with lowering the price of energy in this country by increasing drilling. What does he think that metric is? Is that going to be more than 13 billion barrels a month, which is the record that we set in December? What's the appropriate price that's going to keep the drilling industry, I think, current and profitable? And these are all questions that are the gift that keep giving, because as they're answering those questions, that creates a record that then creates the level of accountability.
Carlos, just in the last hour, meanwhile, Governor Ron DeSantis here in Florida announced Florida's Attorney General Ashley Moody will fill Senator Marco Rubio's seat as he seeks to become the next Secretary of State. What's your reaction to that, and what do you know about her?
Well, Jose, it's kind of an expected choice. The big question was Ron DeSantis going to choose someone from his orbit, his friends, and Ashley Moody is certainly someone who's close to him, or was he going to try to choose someone from President Trump's orbit to kind of continue mending that relationship that we saw strained so much after the Republican primary of last year? Moody is definitely a close friend of DeSantis. She's popular among Republicans in the state, has a very strong record of really pursuing conservative policies as Attorney General. The question now will be, is she going to run for a full term in 2 years, or is there some kind of deal where DeSantis may actually run for Senate? And now that creates a new vacancy that DeSantis can fill. He has to now fill the position of Attorney General. A lot of people expect that he will pick his chief of staff to fill that vacancy.
Carlos, just yesterday on the hearings for Marco Rubio for Secretary of State, he talked about and was asked all kinds of questions from Iran, Ukraine, China, and Latin America. And specifically, he was asked about the designation by President Biden this week to remove the Castro regime from the list of terrorist sponsoring states. Marco Rubio pushed back on that. But here in Florida, for example, the state Democratic Party, as well as the mayor of Miami-Dade County Democrat, immediately pushed back against the president's designation of Cuba out of that list. What's going on here? Why would this happen 5-6 days before the Biden administration leaves office?
It's very peculiar, Jose. And as you said, the condemnation in the state of Florida has been unanimous. Republicans and Democrats really not understanding why the Biden administration would make this move. There's no clear benefit to U.S. national security. There's no clear advancing of U.S. interests. So the only explanation is that this is some kind of ideological decision to appease governments like the Cuban regime, the Venezuelan and Nicaraguan regimes in this hemisphere. I'll tell you what, we talk a lot about the Latino vote on this show, and I think this helps explain why Democrats have lost so much Hispanic support in recent years. This perception, and perhaps it's more than a perception, that the Democratic Party, Democratic administrations want to appease, want to somehow build relationships with governments that have proven to be enemies of the United States and whose victims or survivors live here in the state of Florida and in other parts of the country.